Hello and welcome to this second part of the condensed series on construction cost estimate. In this part, we'll learn about adjusting cost estimate to account for location and time difference. In the first video, we'll learn about cost management and the cycle of cost estimating, budgeting, and control. But we see here this is a cycle, so you use recycle or use the cost data that you have from previous projects. But before you do that, you have to make adjustments to account for differences between previous projects and the new projects. So this is an example here. If you have a water pumping station that you're planning to build, and you build a similar one 10 years ago. So are you going to use the same cost data that you had 10 years ago for the current year? That's a question. Another example is you work for a residential contractor who used to build projects in Nevada, and they managed to get a project in San Francisco. Can they use their cost data in Nevada to plan an estimate for their San Francisco project? Living in the Bay Area, I highly don't recommend that. So, but how to make adjustments for such cases? So the first one is adjusting for time. And we know that prices inflate over time. So it's nature of the economical system we have. So here we're assuming that there is no significant technological advancement that will really disrupt the cost trend following the inflation. So not suddenly we'll have robotics applied in construction, and suddenly really you're dealing with a completely different construction industry. But the main variable here is inflation. So this is an assumption to clarify here. And construction cost estimates are adjusted by cost indices. And that's both for time and location. So for cost index here in the time, we are reflecting the change of the cost by an index that goes, if the prices inflate, the index grows in value. And this index value starts from a base value at a base year, which usually here the index starts with a value of 100. There is no single correct cost index that's published. You can get it from different sources. So some big companies like Turner, Mortensen, I'm sure other big companies, they track their own costs very well, and they can actually produce cost indices for their own uses. So here, if you look here, this is the index of Turner. It goes up and down. So sometimes the cost here goes below zero, meaning that you actually don't have inflation, you have deflation. And you can see here that happened mainly in the 2008-2009 economic crisis. And Mortensen kind of have their own way of presenting the data. But in the industry, the most kind of used and referred to reference for cost indices is ENR, Engineering News Record. So you can see here the base year here was 1913. You can see the index here is 100. And it changes mostly upward, not downward. So you can see since 1913, the index was 100. It went all the way to this page here is just showing to 1996. At March of 1996, it was 5,500, around 5,500. From 100 to 5,500. Of course, we can now relate to all the fun stories of our grandparents telling us, buying a home for a couple of thousands. Prices inflate. So this is a good way to track the inflation of cost. This is also from ENR, but it's more updated. But it goes all the way to 2019, 2018. So for a bulk of years, it provides annual cost indices, but for recent years, it gives you per month. So that's more detailed tracking and reflecting cost over time. Also, another reference is RS Means Construction Data Book and reference, which I use in my classes. So you can see here it's not only by year, but they adjusted by location also. So generally, how to adjust for costs using indices. If you have a cost of a project P and you want to calculate the cost of a project F, or activity, or a line item in a bid, you multiply by the ratio of the cost indices of these two projects. Cost index F over cost index P times the cost of P. And this is a quick example here. So you have a 2 million project in 2000, and the index of 2000, the year 2000 is this, and you're trying to estimate for 2018. From the previous slide, you can go back and check the values, but these are the values we have here, got from the reference of ENR. And this means that the 2018 cost will be almost 3.6 million, compared to 2 millions 18 years ago. Now, how to adjust for location. It's the same concept, use indices, but instead of indices representing difference in time, you're using indices to refer to differences in location. So here we're looking at the city index from RSMeans. You can see here that I'm just showing one part of a page, so I'm focusing on Wyoming here, different cities in Wyoming. They provide cost city indices to change the cost of material in different divisions. You see the divisions following the massive format. You can focus on the material of one of the divisions, or the installation, or the labor and equipment part of the cost, or the total cost. So different indices, different divisions at different locations. So as an example, in Wyoming, a city called here Newcastle, the index of the cost at that city is 84.1 for the total cost. If I want to compare this to San Francisco, California, the total cost for all kind of representative, the all divisions here, or the whole scope of the project, the city index here is 122.5. So a big difference. So you can think of Wyoming, Newcastle, Wyoming, is around 16% below the national average, but San Francisco is about 22% above the national average, because the cost indices in these books are as a national average estimate. So you need to adjust based on location. So location indices or city indices follows the cost indices for the time. Same thing. You use these indices to have ratios and adjust the cost based on that. So the same indices we've seen for Newcastle, Wyoming, and San Francisco, California. If this is the cost of an item that I'm calculating, like it's a square foot cost, I can adjust it to see now that the square foot cost for masonry will be around $110 compared to $75 in Wyoming. So in summary, you can actually combine both adjustments. You don't have to do it in multiple steps. So you can say the ratio of the city index times the ratio of the cost time indices multiplied by the previous cost that you have of the previous project to get the cost of the future project. So that's this part of the second part of the lesson on adjusting cost estimates. The disclaimer here, these are not the only adjustments. So when you get more into estimating, especially when you do estimates for work in a specialty contractor or subcontractor, there are a lot of adjustments and adjustment factors that you apply. So I'm not getting to that, but it's the same concept. You have manuals, you look at adjustment factors, so to account for specific unique conditions of every project you deal with. So we just here focus on time and cost, but there are many other factors to consider to adjust cost estimates. So thanks for watching. Take care of yourself and those around you.